I've been thinking a lot about what kind of legacy I am going to leave for my family. And I I think this is something that a lot of people think about. If you look on, Amazon or in bookstores or different there's all sorts of things about leaving a legacy behind you. And the context behind those is something we're going to dive into because I think a lot of the things that the books dive into are something completely different than what I'm thinking about right now. And really, what's driven me down this path is I've seen a lot of kids that are fighting against health challenges here lately. And if you look at the stats, it's kind of scary, really. You look at autoimmunity has doubled in the past. Well, really, starting in the early 2000s, autoimmunity's doubled. You look at allergies over the last 20 years or so, and the rates of those are doubling. That's not only concerning. I mean, that's a big deal, right? When something's doubling in health, that's where you really start to look at it and say, what's really going on here? And there's a lot of people that want to blame this on genes and different things because they want to find a gene and they want to patent that and they want to make a ton of money off of it. But things don't happen that quickly when we're talking about genetics. So what is really going on underneath this? And there are a few different things that we know are going on. There are other things that we don't know exactly what's going on. But either way, it doesn't matter. We've got to make a change. And that's why I've kind of looked at myself. What am I doing to give my kids the health legacy that they need to have? And I look at this a little differently than most people. I've had my own share of health struggles. I've had autoimmunity. I've had burnout a couple times. That's really, it's affected me in ways that the normal people, like just the average person, is not affected, right? It took me 11 years to find an answer to my autoimmunity. It's something I haven't had antibodies in 8, 9 years now. So, I mean, you can't ever say you don't have autoimmunity anymore once you've had it, but I mean, that's about as much not having it as what you can get, right? But the burnout, that's really taken a toll on me in a lot of ways. I'm very, very protective of my sleep because my sleep got totally destroyed during that time. We watch our diet very, very closely. That's something that's played a lot of role in our healthcare issues, and it's difficult to do things like that. It's difficult to get your kids to do things like that. But I think it's important to do things like that. It's not always about doing what's easy, it's about doing what's right. Correct? And I don't judge any parents on the decisions they make because I think every single parent out there makes the best decisions that they're capable of making, right? Everybody wants their kids to do better. Everybody wants the best for their kids. And that puts us in a role where we have to make decisions sometime that we aren't prepared to make. We don't have the information that we need, or we don't have the capabilities that we need. And I'm in a position where I've done the research. I've looked into the different types of things that need to be done. I've looked at the feasibility of doing some of those. I changed hundreds of things in my health. When I first took out different dietary things, I took out 31 foods at one time. I still don't do gluten, corn, or dairy. And that's something that's not easy. And my family eats the same way. It's not easy, but it's something that I feel is necessary. There's a lot of times we pack up to go to family events and we have to take a cooler. There's a lot of times we go on vacation and we have to, go to a grocery store or whatever and try and throw together some things to eat because we can't go to a restaurant as easily as the average person. And that's hard work. But when I look at all of this stuff, why am I making the change? My family has a long history of cancer and autoimmunity. When my mom was on her deathbed, she apologized to me because she had paid for, it was a test, and I don't know exactly what kind of test it was. It was a test to see if her pancreatic cancer was a genetic thing. Is it something that we need to worry about? And I looked at her and I said, Mom, there's no reason to apologize on something like that. I mean, there's anything health related, there's no reason to apologize. You can't change what's been done. That was completely out of your control. And the truth of it is, it doesn't matter. Why does it not matter? Because I'm going to do the things that I do to avoid that in the first place. I'm going to live my life no matter how, I'm going to live my life in a way that I'm going to try to avoid that. I'm not going to live the life, that everybody else lives. And don't don't take that as a judgment, because I'm not saying that everybody else is wrong in that. I'm going to live my life in the best way that I see fit, and that is going to be some serious dietary changes, which dietary changes are going to play a role in cancer risk, right? I'm going to play my game where I protect my sleep. Sleep is going to play a role in cancer risk. I'm going to play my game where I go and I exercise. That's going to play a role in cancer risk. Somebody has to be the one if you have a long lineage of cancer or autoimmunity or heart disease or strokes or whatever it may be, somebody has to be the one that goes through and changes that, right? Because when we look at it, all of this stuff is epigenetic in nature, and epigenetics can be changed. What are epigenetics? Everybody's got their genes. But those genes are just a blueprint. Are they turned on or are they turned off? It's like a light switch. It's either on or off. And the epigenetics are what determines if that gene is on or if it turns off. Oversimplification, but good enough for what we're doing right here, right? So when you have bad epigenetic markers, or bad genetic markers rather, so you look at the breast cancer gene and all these different things, there's a lot of people that are freaking out and having mastectomies and different things like that. Again, no judgment against them, because it's the best, they're making the best decision for their future right now, right? But those aren't necessarily going to express. What can you do to turn off those genes? And the good news is epigenetics get passed down to the next generation and the next generation and the next generation. Research shows 7 to 13 generations are affected by the choices that you make. And that's a lot of power, and it can be a lot of stress if you look at it in the wrong way, but it's a lot of power to make the choices to leave the legacy that you want to leave. What do you want your kids to have? And somebody has to make the change. Like I said, if you've got the lineage of cancer or autoimmunity or whatever it may be, it doesn't matter what the health challenge is. Somebody's got to make the change to turn that epigenetic marker off. Just like the opposite can happen. If you have somebody who has a healthy genetic lineage, somebody decides to smoke and drink and not exercise and not sleep and all this stuff, and then they end up with cancer, they can pass that on to other levels of the family, right? They pass it on to their ancestors. Somebody has to make the change. What kind of change are you making? What kind of things are you doing to keep your family healthy? And again, this is not a judgment on anybody out there, and this is not to make anybody feel bad. What I want you to have is preparedness. Look at what you are currently doing and what can you do to change that lineage of your family. What can you do to leave a legacy? And like I said, this is different than the books about legacy on Amazon and things like that. You look on there and everybody's building a giant business or having a pile of money. Those things are awesome. Money fixes a lot of problems, right? But money's not going to work out for you. Money's not going to sleep for you. Money's not going to decrease your stress. There are certain things that you have to do whether you have money or not. You can have that pile of money. Ask Steve Jobs. Steve Jobs had billions of dollars, and he's still not around to enjoy it. He died very young. That's what I want you to think about. What can you do to make your family healthier? And when we start looking at it this way, the beauty of this is when we change our when we change our epigenetic expression, especially if we're working out with our kids or eating healthy with our kids or keeping a sleep routine with our kids or giving them the examples, teaching them the healthy habits that they need to go to that next level, they develop healthy epigenetic expression. They pass it on to their kids, who pass it on to their kids, who pass it on to their kids. And it's a line. It just keeps going and keeps going. But we cannot keep going down the pattern that we're going. We can't keep doubling the rates of autoimmunity. We can't keep doubling the rates of allergies. We can't, the rates of autism in places in the US are like 1 in 10. Silicon Valley is like 1 in 10. It's where we're going with our health is not sustainable. And I hope that this is helpful to you, because this is something I've thought a lot about in the last, really 6 months. And it's really changed. It's changed my health. Ironically, it has changed my health. I haven't made big changes in what I've been doing. I have been more diligent about working out. I've been more diligent about lifting weights. But it hasn't really changed anything outside of that. But I'm enjoying life more. My stress levels are lower doing those things. And that's what I want you guys to enjoy. Because when you have the ability to have energy left over at the end of the day, that's what health is. That's all health is. If you are making enough energy and not expending so much that you don't have anything left, if you don't have a debt of energy at the end of the day, you are going to get healthier, right? You're going to be moving in the right direction. That's all it is. So I hope that this helps. If it does help, like it, share it, subscribe to the channel. Give me some sort of signal that this is helpful to you, because the more I know what helps you, the more I can share on those topics. And this is just one that I have been thinking a lot about. It's one that is near and dear to me. And obviously, like I said, I want to have as big of an impact as possible. And I don't foresee myself, working with millions of adults. But I do see myself working with enough people that we can get their kids to be healthy, and that next generation and that next generation. And when that happens, 300 years down the road, you've made a change. That allows you to affect a massive number of people. It's not just the people that we're affecting today, it's the people that we're affecting down the road because of that. So I love you. I appreciate you. I hope you have a phenomenal week, and I'll catch you on the next video.